What's going on, guys? I'm back with another video. We're giving you some Valorant insights here, and I've got none other than Adam ec1s here, the Liquid guy for Team Liquid all day long, the IGL, the man in charge right now. And despite the success he's having in Valorant, and he's had it since the very beginning, this man has a bit of a history that some of you guys may not be familiar with from start to finish. He was trying to find success within CSGO. It was tough to get a break in that game, especially if you come from the UK. Many struggles for players to try and actually find success when it comes to it. So what I wanted to start with, mate, is where we first met back at Gamers, because that was 2018. You guys ended up getting signed to Fnatic Academy because of it. And I would say for you, was this kind of the first time where you would say, oh, I've made it?
I hate that phrase, saying I've made it, because I don't believe I've ever made it. Even when I joined Liquid, it's like, I don't think I've made it. I'm currently at it, but I've not made it. But yeah, I'd say Gamers was like my first, step, like his first big step up for me. The Gamers was kind of like a fluke that I went on there, because I had two ex-teammates, Neff and Ardiis at the time. Yep. They were on Gamers, and like everyone in the UK scene would go on like teams so we can watch the show together. We're like, oh, this looks pretty fun there. So I just like casually applied mid-season. I was like, this is pretty fun. This could be something I'd do. And I applied, and within I think 3 days or something, they said, oh, Adam, we've accepted you. You need to get a flight in 6 hours at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was like, what? So I didn't have time for a haircut. I needed to have loads of brandless clothing that I didn't have. So I had to have gaffer tape all over it and stuff like that. So it was kind of something that happened really quickly. And as well, at the time, I got told before I went to Gamers that I'd be able to practice with my team back home, because I was on a UK team with Boast, Connor, and 2 Danish guys, Nico and Rex. But yeah, when I got there, I was like, yeah, actually, you can't do that. So I kind of forcefully left the team, even though I didn't want to. But it ended up being a really good decision.
Yeah, that was kind of the bit where you guys got a chance, right? You got to be on an organization that's very well known, not just throughout Counter-Strike, but throughout the world. And off the back of a reality TV show that certainly wasn't your normal way of getting picked up to play in a team. How different was it for you, though, from normally playing within UK teams to go and be on this roster, which wasn't put together by, oh, we're a group of guys going to play together, or being handpicked? It was more like you were just kind of meshed together. It was done by other people.
Yeah, no, it was really good, because I feel like I was one of the players in the UK scene. I didn't like the UK mindset. Everyone was too cool to play the game, stuff like that. But meeting with these Europeans, like Matafe, who's I'm really good friends with, and Meadow was on my team as well, who's now from Plus Phoenix. Is their mindset was really refreshing to play with and improve with, because we all wanted it, and we all was doing everything we could to where we could possibly get there. But in the UK, it's everyone wants it, but no one puts in the work. So that was the biggest difference for me, anyways.
Now, obviously, the Fnatic dream didn't last too long, right? You were on a contract with those guys, they ended up dropping you. But was that something you guys kind of expected? Because obviously you had your troubles, and how did it feel at the time? Because it's that chance where you're like, oh, we get this awesome opportunity to represent an amazing organization, but then you can't quite hit the mark again, despite you not even being with just a bunch of UK guys.
It wasn't really expected for us. We thought we were doing okay. We missed out to MDL by losing to Virtus Pro. At the time, VP were at the major, and I think they got top 8 or something. So we kind of got a rough bracket, I'd say, to make MDL. And we lost the first map, 16-14. I remember that map. I was having a really good game. I was having I could say a life game. I was on 30 kills. But then when it mattered, I whiffed, and we lost the round because of me. So it's kind of kicking the teeth. So yeah, it was it was disappointing, obviously, to be dropped from Fnatic. We got told at the time it wasn't because of our performance, even though our performance wasn't the best. It was more of the CSGO ruling changes where you couldn't own 2 teams and play in the same competition, stuff like that. So say if we wanted to play these open qualifiers, prove ourselves, try and qualify for a big event, the previous Fnatic Academy team did do, we weren't able to. So Fnatic just thought, well, we don't want to limit these guys, so they search for other orgs for us to join, but we didn't have any offers. I mean, we was in advance, we didn't make MDL, which most of the orgs wanted, so it was understandable.
And you tried to play as the ex-Fnatic roster for a while, but like you said, right, orgs weren't looking to pick you up. So after that, it was going back to the UK side of things. And let's be honest here, you already kind of spoke about it as well. The UK scene, it tries. It has many of its issues, even back from my playing days, and I finished in 2007. These issues still seem to be the same. It's not gone forward. and it has a lot of problems. So for you, did it feel like a step back at a time? Was it hard to go back into the scene?
Initially, no, I didn't think it was a step back. I think it was like a step sideways.
Okay.
Because at the time, I was joining up with like Astro and those guys who all just were in MDL like the season before, and that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to be like in MDL, so I'd be like happy where I was like performing. So those guys just came from MDL and like they asked me to join their team, and I was like, yeah, this is like like a really promising UK team. Stanley just came back from Ghost Gaming. So I was like, this team could like, be like a really good UK team, has lots of experience. I can bring new things to the table. I've just been like a European team for like the past 9 months. So I thought, yeah, this could have like a lot of potential. And we did kind of show it. Like our first 2 LAN events, we won. It was like, that was the first ever LAN I ever went to, first ever LAN I won. So I didn't go to that many beforehand. And it was like, well, okay, like we have something good here.
And at this point, right, this is the thing that still amazes me, because you're still young now, but you're even younger at this point going through all of this, and you get your first LAN win, you're playing with the UK guys again, and you tried to do this up until just before Valorant came out. But had you not found success and maybe thought about going to Valorant, say you'd stayed within CSGO, do you think you'd still be trying to push in CSGO and still make something of it? Or do you think you would have maybe given up at this point had there been no Valorant?
I was already decided I was going to quit CS and go to university. That was like my plan. Then in the time I was in a team with Ardiis. I was in like an international Bulgarian team with NK, Dav, and Kolo, with Imi as the coach. So like we had like a pretty good like European team. I guess on paper you'd say it's like one of the strongest teams I've ever been in. We were at a boot camp, and Valorant got like announced, like saying, hey, like the beta is coming out. And I said to Ardiis, like, we're gonna give this a go. Like this is like a fresh start where everyone's on the like the same level. Like there's no like predetermined people who like good. It's like all clean slate. Yeah. So like we need to go for this. And as soon as it came out, we started playing it.
And so that's real interesting, right? Because my next question was going to be, was it a hard decision for you to move to Valorant? So clearly not. Definitely when it comes to that, you had that mindset that you wanted to get this fresh start. But was there any kind of worries in it for you of thinking, okay, how do I not get lost in this? Because there's a lot of players that have also gambled on going into Valorant from other games as well, not just CS, and they've not kind of had the success of it. So what was your mentality coming into it? Because you're talking about potentially going to uni, then Valorant comes out and you're dropping CS, and now we're full on with Valorant the whole way.
My mentality was I didn't have much to lose in CS. I feel like in CS I'd like missed my opportunity to be like a top player. I think like I needed to be doing it by now because I plateaued in my career. I was like the same level. So with this, it was like pressure off. Like if it doesn't go well, I'm just going to go to uni. But like if it does go well, I can like get in like a really good position by starting early. Because I don't want to be like a CS player who plays at like a mediocre level for their entire career. Like playing in UK teams, that's just like, it's not worth it for me to like give up like a large portion of my life just playing like a level that I don't want to. Like I wanted to be like traveling to these big events, like playing versus these big teams and stuff like that. And with CS, that didn't seem like possible anymore. So with Valorant, it was just like, okay, let's give this a go. Pressure's off, but if it goes well, let's see what happens.
Well, when we see what happens, it's a lot of success for you. You've managed to make your mark for sure. But how did Fish 123 come about? And I guess my biggest question here is, were you worried, considering it was a lot of UK faces again, that you might have that same problem where it's not the right mentality or anything, or was it you guys all got on board and you spoke about this beforehand?
Well, Fish 123 came about, obviously me and Ardiis spoke about it. Then we previously had a UK team with me, Dom, Cryptix, Ardiis, and Alex, a Swedish player who used to play with Fnatic Academy. We all had like a past team that went like really well, but me and Ardiis left because we got offered a team with an organization, a salary, and we kind of at the time like needed that. So like we're all like really like close friends, and we're like, yeah, this is like what we're gonna do. Like no one wants to play CS that much anymore. Like the desire's not there, but for this new game, we all like really bought into the idea. Like, okay, we can make something of ourselves and try and like practice early. Like dominate early, kind of similar to NIP did with CS:GO. They won like 47 like games in a row, something like that. And that's what we thought. Well, if we get ahead and start practicing, we could potentially do that. But they didn't like expect it to happen. It was kind of like a joke, like, yeah, we're gonna go pro in Valorant. But then like we won like our first tournament. It was like, okay, right, we're pretty good here. Then we won the next one. I was like, okay, what's going on? Like, we're actually good at this game or what?
and you guys certainly proved that you were good in this game. And you talk about that nip run, right? You guys kind of almost achieved something as good as that, right? We're doing one of the most dominant teams throughout prior to release of the actual game when it came to Valorant. And I think that was what was the most impressive thing for me, was seeing you guys be able to achieve so much before the game had came out, which to me said, okay, these guys are actually taking it seriously, right? You're going to take it to a new level. But what was it like when you guys finally found out that Ardiis was leaving to go to G2? Were you guys annoyed by this at all? Or were you thinking, okay, look, he can't really turn down something like that, because you guys didn't actually have an org at this point?
Yeah, that was like a rough day. I remember because we just got an offer that day to join an org as a 5.
Ooh.
It was a big org. I won't say who, but it was like a pretty big org. And it was like, but that same day, Ardiis got like a massive offer from G2. So it was just like, he couldn't really say no to it. Yeah. That's like the position he was in. And we were like, please stay. We've got something good going here. Please stay, Ardiis. We'll give you parts of our salary just to come stay. Like, we'll pay him more type thing. He can be more than everyone else. And like, just so he stays, we had like such a good thing going, was like winning everything. But the amount G2 offered, I think it was just too much. And like, he had to say, yeah. And like, obviously that was like a really bad day for us. I was super stressed out. I remember just lying on my bed thinking, there's no way we can fuck this up. Like, it's gone so well. And now like the opportunity might not be there, because there's no guarantee, I guess. Like, if Ardiis left, that all these orgs, like the offer would still be there, or they'd still be interested.
Yeah.
But little did we know, the next day we got messaged by our agent saying Liquid could be a thing with ScreaM, and it was like, oh my god, what's this happened? Like, literally the perfect timing.
Now, before we go on to the ScreaM side of things, obviously there's a lot of banter that we see between you guys and Ardiis and the G2 guys when it comes to it. But how much is it the real smack talk, and how much is it just for the fun side of things? Because I can imagine you guys are still friends when it comes to it, knowing the history and how it's all gone down.
Yeah, I'm fine with Ardiis now, because obviously I maybe would have been better if we didn't end up anywhere and he like joined G2 and we just like fell apart. I would have been very better, yeah. But like a lot of it, yeah, is banter. I think parts of it goes a bit too far. I think they're very egotistical. Well, some certain players on the team are very egotistical. I won't say who, and I don't really like it. I think it's like quite like disrespectful, and it's just like, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it, but obviously you can have like banter back and forth between teams. I don't mind that. Like, it's fun. Like, we do it with like them, they do it with us. But I think sometimes they do take it a step too far, and it's like not something I enjoy. So, but yeah, it's a bit of fun at the end of the day.
And now, when obviously Ardiis did leave the team, there was a lot of people saying that like, oh, that's you guys kind of done with. Obviously, we now know that's not the case. But what was it like in your minds for you guys? What was your thought process when you went through it all? Because a team doesn't just revolve around one player, no matter how good he may be individually.
Well, when that happened, we thought, well, if Ardiis is going to go, at the time we were like, well, Ardiis isn't the best player in the world. Like, he can be replaced. He can be replaced. So let's try and spin this off as a positive. Let's try and get a player that would improve a team, like a better player than Ardiis. So we had like two options. We had ScreaM, because obviously he was a free agent and hadn't signed for an org. Yeah. We had like the idea of possibly getting ScreaM as like an AWPer, because obviously from CS, insane AWPer. We thought if he comes to Valorant, it'd be a transition to it. So those were all like our team, like two like main ideas of what we could do to try and like improve ourselves from this situation.
And obviously you ended up getting ScreaM. So you said about ScreaM when it came to it as well, and you did play a few games with him. How did the choice come down to? What did it come down to? Was it more you guys preferring ScreaM, or did ScreaM say he was going to stick more with CS? How did it work out?
I think it was a bit of like everything. I think everything like made sense. I don't think Owen wanted to like commit to the game without an org, which is like fair enough, because obviously like he had like offers at CS at the time, so he couldn't like commit to Valorant and like then maybe not get an org with us. And then obviously like with ScreaM, like we all believed at the time he's the best player in the world. Like, his aim is something that no one else has, especially like on like Reyna. Like, no one can replicate what he can do. Like, you've seen it in games before. He can just like pop off and just like win a game, win so many like unwinnable rounds. It's just incredible to watch. It's like crazy to see as well.
And how is it for you? Because obviously, probably when you were young and playing CS, right, you'd be watching a player like ScreaM. Is it kind of wild to you to think that like, okay, we got a roster with ScreaM now, like I'm leading the charge with this guy behind me?
Everything's wild, mate. Honestly, it's like I'm on Liquid. I'm in the Netherlands right now in an apartment. It's like everything's just so crazy. I'm here with like friends that I've known for ages as well from CS. It's just like all of it's mind blowing. All of it's mind blowing, and it's like I'm just so grateful that it's like actually happened.
But it is also hard work paying off for you, right? Because there's one thing I've noticed. We see you in CS, and I'm going to keep going back to this. You're only 20 years old now, right? You're still really young. You are an in-game leader of a team. You've changed up your agent throughout these moments. You've been an operator player at one point. How tough has this been on you individually? Because you're having to do a hell of a lot. You're having to grind a lot. And I know you want it, but it's certainly not easy for one player to change so much so often.
Yeah, definitely. It's not been easy. And like, obviously, being an in-game leader, like this is, besides for 2 weeks in CSGO, I was never an in-game leader. So this is like a whole new role for me. It was like obviously like hard to do, but I think in teams I was always like the second voice type thing.
Okay.
Like I'd be like the secondary caller, so I guess I like helped. And as well, like in VALORANT, we're changing agents and changing roles. Yeah, it's kind of like I went the entire way through the beta playing like Breach, like being like a main support player. Then I've changed to like Omen. I'm like an AWPer. I've never been an AWPer, and I've never been a good one, but it's like at the time the rules kind of made sense, so I was like trying it. Some games I'd like good games, some games I was whiffing. So I think we ended up changing it to Trav because when he was like playing Jet and stuff, he was like really popping off with the AWP. But yeah, no, it's definitely been hard, and like everyone's helped out, like everyone's been understanding, especially our coach Sliggy. He does like so much for us, and like so much for me as well. It takes like a lot of pressure like off my shoulders, like coming up with like the strats and stuff like that, so I can then like focus more on my individual game. Which if I was out without Sliggy, I wouldn't know how I'd be coping here because I have been doing way too much. I need way more hours in the day. So yeah, big shout out to Sliggy. He does so much for me and the team.
And I'm glad you mentioned Sliggy there, right? Because Sliggy's been around the block as well. He's a bit older than you, for example, and he certainly knows his stuff when it came to CS, and he's really gone all in on Valorant. So I guess I wanted to ask you how the dynamic works, because I guess some people would look at this and think, why would ScreaM play with these guys, right? And then why would he maybe listen to an in-game leader like this? But we know how ScreaM can be a professional. But like I've read the comments, I've seen how some of these people go, especially a lot of people who maybe don't actually follow Valorant, they're more focused on the CS side. So how does the dynamic within the whole team work for you? Like, who has the biggest voice, who chips in, and what do you kind of all put into it?
So like, I'd say like, what's the word for it? Like the creator of new stuff. What's the word? There's a specific word that Sliggy says, and that's what he is. He loves creating like new stuff, like creating the meta. This is like all what he wants to do, so it like works perfectly for him to like he has like main control over like all the strats and stuff because his brain is just like he's just ticking like 24/7. Like every now and then we'll chip in with like a round or two that like we think is good and like we'll bring stuff to the table, but mainly like the majority of stuff is from Sliggy. Like his brain is just like incredible and he's like always thinking about the game, and apparently he never needs sleep as well. So it's just like it's incredible to have. Calling wise, it'll be like mainly me. Like Sliggy never calls for us in game, like because obviously we're gonna practice for the day where eventually we'll be on LAN. So like I'm not gonna be like, oh, what do I do? Sliggy help, and he's like, oh, do this, because that's not gonna happen on LAN. So like it's mainly me calling. The person who gives like the second most ideas, like say, is like ScreaM and Dom. They like help chip in like a lot of rounds as well, and like help out with the calling. And yeah, basically that's it. Like everyone helps out. Like we're in this like together. It's like a really like team mentality type thing. Especially when it comes to like, well, if we're stuck, let's help each other, stuff like that. And everyone's like, especially ScreaM. ScreaM's really good at keeping the mood up. Like he's always like, positive. He never rages. He never gets mad or anything like that. So it's like it's great to play with.
And in terms of when you come back onto ScreaM a bit there, right? You talk about his experience coming into Counter-Strike. Obviously, he's had to relearn a brand new game here within Valorant. So do you feel like that's been something that's helped you guys come closer together? Because I thought it was quite a weird mix, right? You're throwing in him coming out of the UK scene. You throw him into this mix of guys who have stuck together for a long time. Was it a good way that the game is so fresh that you could introduce him into your style and this British way of playing?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say it makes it more open because obviously if it was CS, like if he looks at me as a CS player, I'm nobody. I'm nobody's him, especially. So it's like me calling stuff and like stuff like that. Maybe I wouldn't get as much respect, but I guess it's because like it's a new game and like we played against him like a few times and like beat him as well. So I guess like I said, like we're both learning and like we are doing like pretty well and like he's coming into our team, so he's gonna like trust it more because of our performances.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he's been great. He's never been like I guess if I like looked at it before I joined, but I'd be worried if he's like egotistical or something like that. But he's honestly like the nicest guy, and like I don't have any problems with him whatsoever. Like he's like amazing to play with. That's what I can say.
That's what we want to hear as well, because I found it interesting. I interviewed like a lot of you guys, right? I spoke to you, spoke to Sliggy, spoke to Link, and then I got ScreaM one time as well. And I got the right vibe where it was like, okay, these guys are on the same page, right? They're saying the same answers, which works out well. But one thing that maybe didn't work out so well for you guys during one point in Valorant is you guys changing up the agent composition quite drastically during some important events as well. But you spoke about Sliggy coming up with like the strats and looking at it that way. Is he also highly involved in looking at these comps and how it works out? Because you guys certainly did shock us all with a few of your picks.
Yeah, the no smoke comp. Sorry, Sliggy can take the claim to that one. that was his brains. But like I said, like Sliggy's always thinking. So basically, within our team, we were like struggling with like taking initiative as players. So what he was like is that, okay, so we're not the best at taking initiative right now. Let's play a comp where we're forced to take initiative every single round. So obviously, if you have no smokes, if you're not like active like call and stuff, like making ideas and plans, you're just gonna lose because you've got no smokes. It's too hard. So it was kind of like a brain idea from him. It's like, right, so let's go no smokes and let's like try and like force our players to be proactive. And it helped improve us a lot. It improved our comms, improved us taking initiative, all this kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, the style kind of worked. Like our first game, we lost, like we got banged by FPX. Like we just kind of like the first time playing it, and we kind of went into back to bad habits. But the next one, we lost 13-11, 13-11. And I'll be honest, I feel like we threw both games. We lost like a crazy 2v4 eco, like Angel hit insane shots, but it was like the worst round I've ever lost. It was crazy that we lost that round.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like
round, I should say. I'll get it correct.
Yeah. I hate see. I felt sick after watching that back. But it's like, yeah, it's like we lost an impossible round to lose, and like we still should have won on a comp with no smokes. And everyone was like saying, "Oh, Liquid are throwing and stuff." Like it had potential, but I feel like it might not have been the right style for us. Obviously, our initiative wasn't the best at the time, but it definitely helped improve it. So yeah, I'd say Sliggy with the comps is like he takes like majority of the comps. I'm mostly like an in-game thing, like in-game calling and stuff like that. But he's like more like out of the game, like server time, thinking of like what stuff we can do.
Now, when it comes to Europe right now, I wanted to get your opinion on how you rank the teams, because for me, I look at like G2, obviously FPX, you guys, but where would you put the other teams? Because there's a lot of teams without organizations, there's a lot of teams without sponsors here, and we see such change in it. So going into First Strike, obviously, there's a lot of teams that want to make a big wave here. I just wanted to see where you thought you would kind of put them at the moment, considering you've probably played against a lot of them.
I don't even know that many European teams because we haven't played like officials in that long. I know there's been lots of tournaments and stuff, but there definitely are some like really good teams out there. Like I'm happy Guild got an org recently.
Yeah.
I'm like super happy for those guys. Those guys did deserve it. I might not like playing versus them because they got a really frustrating play style, but yeah, I'm glad they finally got something good as well. One team that we've been playing like a lot is Gambit in Prac. Those guys are really, really solid. I like Shados, especially in their team. I think he's like on his stats we checked the other day, is like average 1 kill per round, and that's just crazy. If you think about that in CS, that is like 30 kills every game. So that this guy's incredible, and he definitely shows it. But yeah, apart from that, I don't really know that many like European teams like to think of like where I'd rank them really. I just focus on like the main focus right now is beating Fumpus, Phoenix, and G2, and that's like what we're like kind of focusing on at the moment.
Okay, so tell me then how scrims and practice work out at the moment then. How do you get organized with it? Because I guess one thing I was concerned about when I'm looking at this, right, and I'm in a few of the Discords and stuff, I see teams and I'm thinking, there's not that many teams who can play full time at the moment, right? Some are still in school, some can only play in the evenings and stuff. So how do you guys spend your time? How do you guys make it work? So
currently, I would just go for our entire schedule. So our day schedule is you got to be down in the facility by 11, eat breakfast, stuff like that. Then you have like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to warm up, like have a bit of free time, and then ready for practice. Practice starts at 2, where we go on server time for an hour. So we'll like Sliggy will like bring some stuff like we dry run through and stuff we've been doing recently. Is everyone has like a portion of server time. So like we'll bring in like ideas, we'll bring in like rounds, or bring in like changes, and we'll like speak through them in the server time. We'll dry run them, stuff like that. We'll do that for an hour. Then we'll go into free scrims, so next 3 hours. Then that brings us to 6. Then at 6 we have an hour break. This is where the food is like served in the facility, so we'll go eat food with all like the liquid guys, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then after that hour, we come back and we play 2 more scrims. So like official prac time is from 2 to 9.
Okay, so that's quite a lot there, and you're getting good enough teams and good enough people to play against.
I'd say the quality in Europe isn't always the best, and I think because especially in this game, so I'll take that back. It's not their quality's best. We don't want to prac the best teams, and they don't want to prac us.
Yeah.
Because when we do prac, I spoke about this to Ardiis the other day. No team wants to show anything, so it's kind of like it just like it ends up being like a really bad scrim because, and I think that's like a big part of this game. Like well, we've kind of changed it now because we don't prac like the big teams as much. I go into scrims of like, this is the perfect call to do, but I can't do it because I don't want to show them this round because everything's like so new. And same on Icebox recently. Like we have this like unbelievable round that wins every time, but it's like, well, I don't want to practice it too much because then other teams will click on and like show it. Then like if this team sees it, copies it, then another team will see it and like spread everywhere type thing. So like with a game as new as Valorant, it has like a weird dynamic to practice.
And you spoke about it quickly there, right? Icebox. How are you finding it so far? Is there many teams been able to try and get their way with it, try and get some practice time on it, or are a lot of people still avoiding it?
A lot of people are avoiding it until yesterday. We had a full day of practice yesterday. So it was like we played like some good team. We played G2 on it as well. That was good.
Ooh.
And I think like because obviously the map's so new, like people we're still trying to figure it out. So like people aren't gonna like have that much set things. So, like playing versus these teams now is like the best time to do it. And it's like always like a good practice like versus those guys. Obviously like a really good team. So yeah, Icebox is kind of crazy. We got absolutely owned by some team on it. I can't remember who got owned by, but they had some like really good stuff. It was like, right, okay, like these guys are like cracking onto it. And that's like the problem with practice now is like, oh, these guys have like cracked the code. And now we can just copy what they were doing type, or not exactly copy, but like we take some of their ideas and like implement it into our own game to like improve us. So yeah, Icebox has been interesting so far. I think when it gets to like in a few months' time, I think it would just be absolutely crazy. There'd be so much like diversity to the map as well.
And I know obviously it's just not playable yet, but when it comes to the new agent, have you had a look at some of the videos and stuff out by it? Is there anything that interests you that you guys might want to throw into the mix of it? Because I'm sure it's got Sliggy thinking quite a lot here.
Yeah, I think the way Riot have released the map is kind of strange because I feel like Skybox. I've mixed their names. Icebox and Sky like they go together because her ult is like a heat-seeking missile that like sends out 3 things. And for the A bomb site on that map, that's perfect because there's so many corners and stuff you need to check. You can turn into like a tiger, like a fox. Sorry, ScreaM calls it a tiger and it makes me laugh. So calls it a tiger. And you go run around with the tiger. It's like basically like a soldier and gets info. Then you have the pigeon, or ScreaM calls it the pigeon. So you can throw out the pigeon and flash people, and it's like this map is built for Sky. So I was saying to Sliggy today, I'm like, I don't want to overwork Icebox. Sorry, I don't want to overwork the map because I feel like Sky needs to be in the map. It's like super strong for that map. So yeah, it's weird how it's going to go, but I think we're going to have to wait like 6 days or something like that until Sky gets released. So I think then we'll be packing Icebox again.
And you've already said, right, you guys are at the Liquid facility at the moment. We're getting ready for First Strike. That's the all-important big tournament that's coming out here. Now, for you guys, right, what is your goal here, right? Not only just to beat G2 and stuff, but is it going all the way, right, and proving that you guys can turn things around? Because in the Ignition Series events towards the end, I know you guys weren't happy with what you were able to achieve.
Yeah, obviously the goal is we want to win. Like we believe like we can win, and we've taken like a lot of practice now, so hopefully we can come out and like show what we can do. I feel like a lot of the events we lost was like our own personal mistake. I don't feel like we got absolutely outclassed or like absolutely outplayed. Obviously, like we do, like that does happen sometimes, but like it's not that every single time we're just getting outclassed. I think it was just mainly from our own mistakes where we were losing these games and like losing these crucial rounds. And in a way, that's a positive because we can always fix our own mistakes. We can't fix the other team being better than us, if that makes sense. So yeah, obviously we want to come out and win First Strike. Obviously, first step, got to qualify. like a lot of like best of ones and stuff like this, it can be
Yeah.
pretty brutal, and it does look pretty scary because I know there's a lot of good European teams. I think some like the big teams might get caught out because I know G2 have been having like a little bit of a break recently, so I feel like they might get shocked in the qualifier, and I feel like a lot of teams can do because best of one in this game, there's so many variables in the game. Like upsets can easily be done. Honestly, I think like you can put like a new comp, you can do some like new strats that people have never seen before, and it can make things like really really hard for yourself. So yeah, first step, qualify. We'll take it a step as it comes. Obviously, goal. We want to win it. That's where we want to be.
And what would you say has been the biggest change in you guys since the last Ignition Series event to where you are now, getting ready to first strike? Where do you think you're at, like both mentally and how you are as a team and as a unit?
Well, I think as a team, as a unit, we've improved a lot. We've upped our practice hours. We've started playing, like, we're playing more, like, you know, we're pushing ourselves even more, so we can get, like, everything out of this, like, big event. And, like, mentality-wise, I think the mentality is good in the team. Like, we know what we're here for. We know, like, what we're practicing for, and, like, we know what we expect. And we've been speaking to the mental coach at Liquid, Jared Tendler. He's been doing wonders for us. Honestly, speaking to him is very, very eye-opening, and it's like talking about stuff I never even considered, and like
Have you
how
ever
the
had
brain
one
works.
before, just out of interest, on any team before?
No, I've been playing the UK teams. There's no way I've got a psychologist or anything like that. But yeah, Jared does so much for us, and I believe he's like a big reason why the CS team did so well, and that initially was one of like the reasons we wanted to join Liquid, to like be able to work with this guy as well. And yeah, he's doing great work for us.
Well, you're getting me very excited to see what's going to happen during all of this first strike side of things, mate. ec1s, thank you so much for your time. It's good to catch up with you and speak to you in a lot more detail about all of this. And best of luck going into the qualifiers. And for everyone else that's watching, you best make sure you're checking out all of the first strike qualifiers, because it is going to be crazy. It is going to be messy for sure. Like ec1s mentioned, there's a lot of best as ones in it. There could be a few upsets coming your way. But it's all about the great Valorant action and the Valorant esports that's coming up for the future. We'll catch you on the next video. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next time.
See you guys. Bye.
Hope you guys enjoyed another Valorant Insights. We've got more interviews coming with plenty of players here, because First Strike is just around the corner. And trust me, you guys won't want to miss out. If you've got some time though, check out some of my other videos and make sure you hit that subscribe button.